Was Tracer nerfed too hard in Overwatch 2? She's lost quite a bit of her step from Overwatch to Overwatch 2. Now, this might seem like a silly question to be asking, as an Owl, we've seen her play rate go up over the course of this first kickoff clash as opposed to down, so maybe she's perfectly fine. But bear with me for a moment. She lost quite a bit of her damage, and this probably happened as a result of the tank armor change, where tanks, instead of reducing up to 50% damage now, instead reduce a flat 30% whenever they have armor left, and this makes it actually better against bigger single hits, but worse against rapid fire hits, high spread hits like Tracer's weapon. And perhaps in response to this, the devs didn't like how much damage she was doing and decided to nerf Tracer's damage, which might have been fine, except Tracer also has to be able to shoot at supports and other DPS, and it's a flat nerf for her there, to the point at which it is very hard for her to go for any sort of one clip. Is it still doable in most situations? Yeah, it can be done, but it's a lot harder. She's also got worse poke than before. And some of you might be going, well, one clips are gimmicky, we don't want those anyway. Well, maybe, but she has to be able to compete with people like Sombra, who can hack you from invisibility, and people like Genji, who basically have a one clip combo available to them. It obviously doesn't take Genji Soul Clip, but his combo is the speed of a Tracer one clip in terms of reaction. So I look at that and say, And then the other real step that Tracer lost is she doesn't have her Overwatch 1 movement speed passive. In Overwatch 1, Genji and Tracer moved faster than the rest of the cast. That was just a special little extra passive that they had. That is gone in favor of every DPS now having 10% faster movement. And Genji and Tracer did not get to keep theirs on top of that. They have this instead of that, like all of the other DPS do. So it's a relative speaking nerf. Okay, Temporal, that makes sense, but, Tracer's, again, pick rate is going up, so what's going on? Well, my issue there, and yes, Tracer's pick rate is going up. It's going up because Tracer is incredibly valuable because she can hold an angle for a longer amount of time with less support than some of her competitors like Echo and like Genji. So she can hold those angles even if she does pretty pitiful damage. Just the distraction of holding that angle, still a kill threat even if a minor one, is worth quite a bit. But the problem is, it's worth quite a bit at the Owl level. It's a somewhat well-known factoid that Tracer, for below Masters, had a sub 50% win rate for the longest time. That's not great. It basically meant that with the average Tracer, you were more likely to be losing a game that they were on your team in Diamond through Bronze games than win it. You'd prefer they were playing someone else. Now, obviously, specific Tracers, it's different. They're in the rank they're in because they're winning enough, but that was sort of a well-known factoid. This is going to move the number that this takes place at up from Masters, and it's moved around a little bit over time, but it's going to move it up from Masters to, I'd guess, like 4,400. And you don't really want a situation where, yes, the Owl Tracers, who have put thousands of hours into her and are some of the best aimers in the world, yes, for them, Tracer's a good hero, but for everyone else, Tracer is a bad hero, and she won't be a good hero for people until they have put thousands of hours into her. People aren't going to put those thousands of hours into her, or if they are, they're sort of throwing lightly on your team while doing so. That's not great. That's really not great. So is it just okay to go, hey, the next crop of Tracers isn't going to be as good and Tracer will work her way out of the meta from all but the old school people, or go, hey, people have to put thousands of hours into her where they're sort of losing more often than they should be until they get good enough? Is that a good design? Or maybe should we restore some of Tracer's power? Especially when she's now going to have to play into supports that have been further buffed. We saw that Anna, of course, exists with her tough hitbox, but we saw buffs. BAP got basically a second anti-burst cooldown in regenerative burst. That's a big deal. He can basically stop Tracer from doing anything twice with that limp. Mercy can fly forever. Like, we have more stuff that Tracer has to contend with that is going to be hard for her to do her job with, especially outside of Overwatch League levels of coordination. So is that okay? Is that good? Is that bad? Let me know what you guys think. If you're enjoying this sort of content, drop a like, consider subscribing for more thought-provoking Overwatch 2 analysis, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Temporal out.